Thank you so much, Travesty. And folks, we just witnessed a game. And the person that ended up running that game was a 15-year-old rank 1 player from NA. Sniper continues to stand out throughout this tournament. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but we got to start with the draft, some of the game plans coming in. And for the side of Maryville, I think that this actually stuck to a lot of the theme that we were setting up beforehand, thanks to the two big brains I have with me, once again, Smacks and Illy. Illy, I especially want to start with you. You really set up Maryville for a team that liked to invade, liked to play with priority. This is something that you called out their draft set up to do, and there were some attempts at it, but kind of walk us through what you were expecting out of this draft from Maryville.
I guess I was just expecting, well, definitely more of 100 Thieves is, sorry, 100 Next is a, they're such a intimidating team to go up against. They've been doing so well, and it just feels like the Zen pick, they were just looking for opportunities to be able to pull off some early game strats like I talked about earlier. We saw through the mid game that Rakan was roaming up, and they were trying to make some plays to see if they could get something. And I definitely think the draft followed that theme to an extent, with the exception of maybe Kaisa.
It was about,
you guys take over.
Yeah, I mean, it was about making early plays so that Zen.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was an attempt to get priority, and we did see Maryville at least try to play through that, but this is the power of Hunter Next. They made that so difficult to do so early for Maryville, Smacks.
I just want to say, sorry guys, this is the first time I've ever done the analyst desk, so my brain gets a little fumbled sometimes when I get put on the spot. So, like, you could ask them like off air. I'm all like talking and I'm all comfortable. The second I'm on air, it's like my brain is blank and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't talk about this. So yeah.
Speaking for Cubby, that happens to him all the time as well. So
true. My points are terrible, always super jumbled for Academy, but that's why I've got you two with me helping us out. And I think a big part, I mean, kind of returning to Maryville and their game, I know that, we have a replay prep to some of this early pathing, and Illy, kind of, like, when we get this replay going, walk us through, like, what the attempt was for Odd Orange, or at least with this top play first.
Well, what I noticed is that Maryville put a deep ward early into their jungle just to see where Hecarim was and potentially be able to react to it. But unfortunately, even before this, I think there wasn't enough. Odd Orange's hands are pretty tied in this game. When your top lane is getting pushed in early and you don't have a lot of prio, and then you have a weak side bot, he really has to just look for the best opportunity. So it's a really hard position to be in as a jungler. And yeah, Hecarim getting that first, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Snowballing Sniper that early is really unfortunate for Maryville.
Yeah, to your earlier point, you really are looking for the first move when you're playing the Xin Zhao, and you saw that in the way that Odd Orange was deciding which camps to clear. He went from red buff down to bot lane, didn't quite find an angle there either, and so he took a couple of camps there, went back up to top, and by the time he went there, Niles was already in the struggle bus because Fnatic had made his way there after clearing some camps. So it was a tough ride, and it didn't get better for Niles as the game progressed either. As you saw from that play, Sniper on this Aatrox ended up being pretty good.
And this is where we kind of get into the Sniper show. And once again, props to Hunter Next. I think that the hand of Maryville was forced early. A part of the reason the top lane matchup got so volatile. Sniper took Flash and Ignite and managed to get the Flash out of Niles level 1 and the TP level 1. So it really did force the hand to for Maryville to attempt some crazy plays. And that's going to culminate into Sniper just knocking them all down to the top lane.
We gotta watch the triple kill now. It's time. This is a 1v3 for the 15-year-old top laner for 100 Thieves Next. Oh, it's just so filthy. And this is a champion that is very, very reliant on both movement and skill shots all throughout. He's so precise with it, especially that one to open things out, moving backward to get the sweet spot on the second Q knockup for Niles there and flashing forward with the passive, even getting an auto attack before he gets stunned by the Pop Blossom too. Like, oh, this is just a beautiful Aatrox play. Going in Sniper's montage, I'm sure.
And this was the story of game one. I also, the Herald swap, credit to Array, shout out. I think that he had a really nice game as well in the bot lane. As we're going to pick up the cinematic for Sniper to get this last one. And Illy, I know you have Maryville taking a game. What do you want to see out of Maryville in this next game for them to take a game off 100 Thieves next?
I want them to maybe try going out of their comfort zone a little bit. You know,
Okay.
maybe try something more bot centric. Maybe try you know, because it's such a hard team to go up against that they're already predicting everything you can possibly do that's normal. So I really want to see, like, I don't know, just something out of left field, just
Well,
unique.
I mean,
Yeah.
good for you. Shady does specialize in coming up with things that are a little bit out of left field for Maryville's bot lane. So maybe we see Maryville go for some early strats, maybe try to get early cheese down against 100 next. Max, is there anything that you're looking for going into this next game?
I think Illy's 100% right with that one. We just saw Azog have the series of his life, the game yesterday on the Zeri mainly. Maybe they can switch things up, move over to that blue side, and get that first pick for him, or another priority champion like the Jinx or the Aphelios. One of these hyper carries could definitely work wonders for Azog, who has a lot of momentum from yesterday.
All right, so we're going to have to see, according to my analyst here, if 100X can dodge a wrench or a curveball from that field. We're going to have to see how that ends up getting set up. But before we dive into our second game, I just want to remind you once again, if you'd like to join the conversation and have some of your thoughts heard on broadcast, you can tweet at us with the hashtag #WeAreUnified, and your tweet could show up on twitch.tv/academy. I also want to remind everyone, this is not the only best of 3 going on today. We are in quarterfinals. There is another one on twitch.tv/unified live if you'd like to tune into that series as well. But returning to this one, before we return with Travesty and Rebel Fox, our wonderful casters, take us through game 2, we actually had Izzy, one of our members, sit down with the head coach of 100 Thieves Next Miss to hear some of his thoughts going into today's series.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Izzy, and I'm joined today by Coach Mist of 100 Thieves Next, ahead of their quarterfinals match against Maryville University. Mist, how are you?
I'm good.
It's good to hear. This time last year, you were competing on EGP as a support player. A year later, you're coaching this 100 Thieves Next squad. Tell us how you found yourself in this particular coaching role.
After I left EGP, I joined the C9 amateur. I was helping them in last year summer PG. So actually we qualified for PG, but we didn't doing that great. But after that, I think Papa Smith asked me to try out for 100 Thieves Next coaching role, and I just do some trial and I passed.
That's good to hear. What was that transition like from player to coach? Was it odd at all for you?
I think I kind of doing some coach work, even I was playing. So I think it just definitely felt some different at the start. You're not playing the game, but I think coach just different role in the game as well.
Yeah, and how has it been working with, people like Papa Smithy who care so much about the scene?
Yeah, he's the goal. He's really care about the team. He would just message me and try and get us some good warm up. Like we usually warm up LCS every week. Then we play our academy team as well. So he would give us a lot of help.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. Would you like to pursue coaching at a higher level in academy and LCS?
Yeah, for sure. I want to compete as high as I can. I want to go to Worlds. I want to go maybe LPR as well. Like I just want to compete.
Yeah, I was gonna follow that up with like any other major regions, but yeah, LPL would be really cool. I was speaking to some of the casters earlier today, and I asked, like, hey, like, what do you want to hear from Mist, ahead of maybe their dust segments and whatnot today. And they wanted to know, did you find the role of coach maybe more game-focused or player-focused?
I think depends on the what type of coach you are. There's a like position coach. There's like head coach. So every coach focuses a different part. When I was a senior amateur, I was like kind of positional coach. So I focus player individually more. But not right now, only me as a head coach. So I focus more on like macro or like big stuff. I will look different player every game and just say what they do. Then maybe just tell them on the one-on-ones.
Yeah. Now, 100 Thieves next fielded 2 supports between the last 2 circuit qualifiers in Dawnbray and Sword. What kind of resources have you been able to provide them as a former support?
I'm just tell them the matchup, like how you what champion's good, and like when you should blind your champ or like the counter pick in the draft. I think let's oh
Yeah. And do you ever like fill in as support in scrims or anything, or you leave all the
uh,
hard work to them?
I I actually feel one time support and I feel one time top line. That didn't go well, so
I was gonna say, did you win both of them, or
no, that didn't go well.
oh,
You don't want to see me play top.
what were you playing?
I sub one support game. I played Nollis and I sub one top game. Warm up for LCS. You know
Yeah, yeah.
how it goes well to someday.
I was talking to Smax earlier today, and he's like, "You can make fun of Mist for being a Nautilus one trick," and I was like, "I'm not gonna do that." So yeah, that's funny to hear. Love the story. Best of luck on today's quarterfinal matches, and thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Desk, and thank you, Izzy, for that lovely bit of insight. As we're going into game number 2 here, my name is Travesty. I'm joined here with Rebel. Maryville did not get to have a great time in game number 1. I feel like 100 Thieves Nets looking to bring the heat to him again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see that. Mostly because 100 Thieves, they like to bring the heat to everybody, but that game was something beyond the bounds. I think we would even be expecting for a series like this, because that was one of the biggest, probably one of the most deafening kind of silences that we've heard from a team against even 100 Thieves when it comes to just everything that was happening across the map. It felt like everybody was being choked out. The one bright spot was APA. It'd be cool to see them build upon that. I love Aurelion Sol. I know they covered it in the previous game. Maybe we can get a throwback, but outside of that, I really just think it's about getting yourself established somewhere on the map to attack. Because right there, 100 Thieves, they felt like they were winning in just about every position.
And sides are staying the same as well, so both these squads are going to be on the same squad. I'm curious on the bans that might change, and we're already seeing an adaptation. Getting rid of the 3 marksman ban from Maryville. They said, yo, Karma, that's too much shielding.
And that means that either the Jinx is going to be getting through or the Zeri is going to be getting through. I'm curious. They actually might let both through now because 100 Thieves decided to get it through. And yeah, they're going to trade off champions between the two. So now Array gets the choice of either the Jinx or the Zeri, one of the two. Not surprising to go for the Jinx. It almost certainly signals that it's going to be Zeri for Azog. The only alternative to this is if they knew the Jinx was going to get through, then they will take the Xayah Rakan combination that's been popping up as a response specifically to the Jinx throughout some of the world. I don't expect that. I think Azog, some of the best performances he's had has been on Zeri as a champion, so it's not surprising to see them want to go back towards this immediately, and then take their priority jungler as well, because they goaded them into taking the Jinx at the #1 overall pick, and that meant that they get their priority. It's not the Hecarim, it is instead going to be the Xin Zhao, because that has been banned away, so now it is up to the side of 100 Thieves to come up with a response to this.
I mean, their response last time was, hey, we put a lot of wards inside the jungle. We know where the Xin Zhao is at all times. I'm curious yet again on what is going to be the game plan. And 100 Thieves, what do you got for us? Fnatic, you have a different jungler to pilot this time around. No Lee Sin, no Hecarim available. Let's see what he has.
There we go. I like Trundle. Trundle's a good champion into this specifically for exactly that reason. There's a lot of ways that the Trundle can kind of beat down Odd Orange on the Xin Zhao in the earlier stage of the game, and it's something that controls a lot earlier in the way that we saw previously. You combine that with the Nautilus. Nautilus is not a great champion into a Trundle, so having them on the same team is kind of nice. You put a pillar behind a Nautilus, he can't walk away at all, he can't hook himself either, which is kind of tough. But in this situation, you get yourself a little bit of disengage. Maybe missed actually letting a little bit of his own tendencies of being a Nautilus one-trick bleed through in the draft a little bit, as it does yield the Leona support on the bottom side here for Maryville as the response.
I like this too. We haven't seen a lot of Leona popping up inside of the amateur space. It's been a lot of like the Nautilus that we've seen. We've seen some Rakans, and Thresh, of course, is a very popular one with a couple enchanters sprinkled in. But Leona comes in and reigns supreme when it comes down to just going in there and making it to where somebody is not allowed to move.
Yeah, and this time there is no discovery onto what happens in mid lane, because Nico is probably not getting flexed around at all. So now the potential of a mid lane flex and a top lane flex coming through here from Maryville to not get information over to 100 Thieves is pretty big. Or they could give themselves something very balanced in one of the two roles. I'm assuming after that last game, at least from what I had seen, potentially they go towards Niles being on something like Ornn or something more blanket that he doesn't have to worry as much about on some of the champions. The alternative to that is if he gets another counter matchup, hopefully the Aurelia just doesn't get like kind of torn apart at level 1, and then the rest of the game is spent trying to salvage it. We'll see whether that, because usually there's more mid lane champions, things like Syndra that got banned out, but the Rise was also a possibility. But they don't. They go right back to Nico and they say, let's go for it.
And Nico was good.
It was good, yeah.
It was the bright spot. We saw those pop blossoms, especially at the end of the game. It was just, just not in the right place, right? Everybody was too far behind. Under these nets, what are you looking to pilot? Is it the Ivern mid again as a response?
Man, I would love the brand mid. We saw it just a couple days ago, and it was awesome. But unfortunately, no. It looks like they're going to go away from it. They're going to go to the Camille instead, which now poses the question of what Niles wants into that champion specifically. Is that's almost certainly there's no flexibility there. They're not getting crazy with what this composition is going to be, and instead they're just going to be taking things. They're giving themselves probably more time to think about what their mid lane pick is going to be. It's a little harder, I think, to run Ivern. They've got the Jinx, but they don't have something on the top side that can outright full carry the way Aatrox can inside of a front to back team fight. And so instead they go to the Ahri, got some dive potential. I know Insanity's capable of playing this one incredibly well, has range to deal with the Nico as well. The Charm is something that can kind of stop her in her tracks, and this would be a response. This is Niles putting the foot down, going back to what is his classic champion for being able to carry exactly the recipe that I think Maryville would have wanted going into a series like this. They get themselves not only a matchup that's preferable to Niles, but also on perhaps one of the, if not the most comfortable champion that he's got inside of his arsenal.
I feel like amongst casters, we a lot of times we'll see Maryville pick up a dub and we look over at it and we see that Gangplank selected and we're like, why did this get through? He can't keep getting this champion. But Niles, like you said, this is a champion that is made his name upon, and Gangplank is a fantastic one for just that. The gauntlet thrown down, looking to recover from that game 1. See if they'll be able to take it, and said, 19-1 didn't sound good to them. They're going to go for 20-1 here. Maryville looking to play spoiler to the win streak.
And this game actually feels a lot more like a competition where we might still see a lot of scrapping in the top lane. Niles gets very aggressive on the Gangplank, even into a Camille matchup in the earlier stages. But the big thing for me is that you do have scaling on both sides of the map for Maryville, and so your mid-jungle combination has to make some noise. And when you're playing into 100 Thieves, who have set themselves up with an Ahri Trundle combination, which is, at least the Trundle matchup is really good, it's going to be harder to kind of full take command of the center of the map, which is kind of what Maryville needs here, because they're the ones that want to go striking, set up their Zarya for some success, set up the Gangplank for some success in this game, and that to me is kind of the prospect that 100 Thieves are going to be operating under. If Fnatic and Insanity can take over that mid-jungle combination, all of a sudden, the Jinx is going to be very powerful, going to be able to run past the Zarya in the beginning of the laning phase, and then top lane is just a skill matchup where in the last game Sniper had how many solo kills. It's tough to kind of bet against that in game number 2, even when it's Niles Gangplank.
I mean, and I also want to bring up a point and kind of circle back around to Insanity, because last game he was on the Ivern. This time seeing him on the Ahri, I'm going to be real, there's something terrifying about a kiss being blown into the fog of war and it tagging you if you're on Maryville, right? Like, Maryville's got to keep their game up in terms of managing this fog of war, because this composition makes it very dangerous.
It's a matter of in the previous game, Insanity had a much more kind of low-key role. His job was mostly just to absorb mid-wave, be there for team fights, throw massive shields on people, and that's kind of what he did. He did great things, and was still able to do very amazing things on the Ivory. But for the most part, it's downplayed. This is a game where Insanity now has a chance to be like, I'm gonna take control of this map. I'm gonna take resources from Fnatic and Sword immediately in a game like this, and that's gonna put me on the pedestal. This is a more standard type look for 100 Thieves, where you expect him to play into Insanity and then to use that power to express into Array and Sniper's solo lanes, more so than what we saw in the previous game, where it was kind of you play to the solo lanes immediately and then everybody clusters around Insanity and Sword. Whereas this game, it feels like they're going to be going to mid lane very quickly to make those strikes happen.
Strike swiftly as you can, but Maryville, I want to keep my eyes on Auto Orange, man. I want to see what Auto Orange has in store for us. You brought it up in the last game. I've been very critical when the Xin Zhao's not able to pop off. That last game, he got put into a cage of his own where he wasn't able to really move around the map without the squad of 100 Thieves Nets knowing where he was. I want to see Auto Orange break out in the early game. Get one of these lanes popping off. You talked about it earlier. Niles, very storied on his champion. Gets very aggressive in the lane. APA, phenomenal Nico game. Bot lane, you got some great gank assist even. What a wrench in the plans to play towards your normal weak side bot lane. There's all sorts of options. I want to see what Auto Orange decides to explore.
Yeah, to me, again, the jungle versus jungle, the mid jungle versus the mid jungle are the matchups that determine so much about how the early game is going to transpire here between these two teams. And so Odd Orange is somebody under a microscope. He's been counter matched up, or counter picked against the Trundle. That's where Fnatic is going to be. Fnatic kind of ran things in the previous game, and there wasn't a bunch from Odd Orange to kick things off. Now you also have Insanity on a champion that's going to have a lot more map impact, and it's a question of whether or not you can get your Nico going. This is another game where, again, I feel like Maryville, I'm looking at Shady to help out Auto Orange. The two of those being able to connect together and kind of change the way that the middle of the map is going to be able to kind of envelop the rest of the game is going to be something to watch.
I mean, something to watch too. I mean, Array had a fantastic performance. If you want to get excited about somebody, Array is definitely somebody to do that about after having a massive Ezreal performance. No skill shots needed on this champion. Can just pop off with some rockets. But here we are. Game number 2 between 100 Thieves Nets and Maryville.
And what kind of creativity can we actually see come out of this jungle support combination? Because again, I think if this game plays out in the way that you would expect it to, either full standard or something in the way that 100 Thieves normally plays out a game like this, I expect for Sword to move into mid lane within the first 5-10 minutes of the game pretty easily. For Insanity to pick up at least a kill, if not have just pure pushing power against APA. And for that to be enough for 100 Thieves to be able to capture whatever they want, whether they want to get off to a gold advantage to start things off and try to push a lot of the earlier game with like the Ahri being a pick tool and Pillar being a pick tool, whether they want to play towards dragon stacking to go towards playing around Array, who's this amazing ADC that you talked about. They have all those options open for them if nothing happens, if everything is kind of ambient and still the way we don't want things to be here for the side of Maryville. So I have high expectations about what they're going to be able to do. This is, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to make a race. It still, by the way, he has cleanse, so I got a little bit of a challenge there.
It was really funny. The interaction I was watching right there is that APA put on the Zeri skin, and I think for a moment there forgot that Zeri's auto attack animation is actually her Q, and so he can't make it look like he's actually an ADC for more than exactly one auto attack, which ended up causing it. So he's like, as soon as he pressed the auto attack, I know he's like, ah man, and then just immediately drops the skin.
Oh, that's a feels bad. Not somebody you want to duplicate. As little bit of trading happening over in the top side. No Ignite on Sniper this time, as well as something else to keep our note on. Flash Teleport on the Camille this game.
Yeah, I think wanting to be able to set up plays for Fnatic when the time comes. Because again, the pillar is something that you can't orange if you are Gangplank, obviously. That terrain is something that prevents you from just getting away outright. And so it's easier, I think, to try to set up plays with with your jungler and being able to set them up with your flash, rather than trying to go for the Ignite and going for the one-on-one, which is kind of what the forte is of Niles, right? He's more than studious when it comes to the one-on-one matchup between these two champions. He kind of understands how they work at this point, and he's very good at it. Great trading from APA to begin with, is he got the level 3 very quickly over Insanity and immediately punished the Ahri off the back of that one. Great stuff from him.
And this is what we expect to see, right? APA is just an expert at this champion and has been one of the few mid laners that we've seen that have been popping off on Nico in the mid lane. You can already see though, there's 3 people coming over to APA right now.
You know, I said the first between 5 and 10 minutes. I'm expecting Sword to move into mid lane. I kind of wasn't expecting a 3-minute 16 run timer, but it looks like what happened was bottom lane actually got such a good push off the Jinx.
Oh,
but actually fighting them.
He's getting tagged here. The root didn't connect onto anybody. AutoOrange is going to go down. It's a trade of 1-for-1, but Shady is left to the devices of 100 Thieves. Nets Insanity finds the kill, and it comes out in favor of 100 Thieves Net.
And the Tangle Barbs actually getting away, preventing Fnatic from moving, not landing, was humongous there for Maryville. Because if you're tagging, Fnatic almost certainly goes down first there. And this entire fight changes everything, right? Like, it changes everything that happened in the immediate landscape of the game. But it's not the way that things turned out, because the flash was perfect from Fnatic to get him out of danger, so there was no way to come about. This is Niles moving off of his wave really quickly to support AutoOrange. Once again, going for top crab. You got APA here as well, but look, it's the Tangle Barb that I'm looking for. And Sword again, who has already showed in mid lane, not tagging Fnatic, bought the time for AutoOrange to get brought down by the rest of the team who are sitting around the corner. And yes, you trade for another one, but Shady is necessary for that to actually come about. So not only the quicker movement from Sword, but also that one missed skill shot kind of causing the 2 deaths to go over to the side of 100 Thieves for the 2 kills for both Insanity and Sword. The Insanity kill is the one I'm looking at most, though.
Bro, wait a second. Niles flashing forward. He's inside of a minion wave, but he does not care. A solo kill for Niles.
Really big stuff. The flash used not only aggressively to get in range of the melee, but also to avoid the W, which would have been a shield proc that might have actually won Sniper that one-on-one. So props to him for being able to see that. And I think it's the tick damage from Trial by Fire on the auto attack that he flashed in with in the first place that actually did the last little bit of damage to prevent Sniper from getting a Q that might have been enough to trade or prevent him from not going 1-for-1 with the minions firing at him. So again, mastery of the champion from Niles being expressed right there. Good punishment onto Sniper. No flash burnt, unfortunately, from Sniper, so he's going to have that one for setup when the time comes. But looking a lot better in game number 2 now is Niles. Last game had a pretty rough one. Did not look like he was the Niles of sorts that we would expect to come into a series like this. But here, looking incredibly competitive, like last game didn't phase him in the slightest.
This is why we hype these 2 up inside the top lane, solo killing each other back and forth, as the junglers are both pathing towards this top side possibly. AutoOrange is looking for a lane gank in this top lane.
And this is of interest to me, because again, I think the longer that you leave APA alone in the lane up against Insanity, the better it is that APA just gets to continue to use this Nico versus Ahri matchup that, like, obviously APA is well-versed on the champion at minimum, and you kind of want that impact to come through, and especially with Niles that already has this ambient lead over the Camille, you're not really accomplishing that much if Fnatic tries to make a play there. I really want to see him shift this attention towards the Nico, and again, try to break out Insanity, because that's where all of a sudden you throw both those champions, and now top lane doesn't matter, bot lane doesn't matter, you're making impact across the map no matter what.
Fnatic tried to look for an angle onto APA, doesn't find it, but is looking to go towards this top side. Niles did TP straight into the top lane, and look at what Trundle's doing here. He's just wrapping around, and this could be a very rough scenario. Trundle is in a position to capitalize on this grievous error that Niles has made. The Orange comes through, the artillery fires, put down barrels, and Sniper taking a heaping amount of damage. Niles is able to fight a 1v2, and while this all happens, the jungler visits bot side. They find a kill onto the Jinx.
Reminiscent of what happened in the last game when it was actually Sniper who was the one taking on a 2-man gank, and the bottom lane being able to kind of use these 2 champions that they have in their back pocket, being able to find a kill off of what looked like an AutoOrange play down there. Kind of incredible. Maryville kind of flipping the script on what happened in game number 1 in very significant ways. This is the bottom lane play that had come about, and it's Shady with the Hex Flash and an E onto Array. Very rare to catch out Array like that. Did he have the cleanse down, or was it burnt during the beginning of that before it actually went through?
He used it, and it's just way too late.
Did I just way too late? Okay, yeah. I was a little curious when the usage had actually come through, because it looked like it was down before the E had even hit. But yeah, just not able to walk away. Good punishment into the bottom side here. Kill does go on Leona, which is perhaps the one knock. But again, this is all also off the back of a defense on top side where Niles was able to take a 2-man gank and not have any ramifications for it. Didn't even lose a CS, lost a little bit of the health bar, but that's about it.
This is a perfect top laner gameplay where you just have the jungler inside your lane and you're just like, yeah, I can take you both on. Fills the air full of confidence, and Maryville looking to exude that confidence into the mid lane here. Charm eaten up by APA, but it will be the shove from this squad as a response.
They're working their way towards the Rift Herald. It's the immediate movement from Maryville altogether. The one thing to note, neither support has actually hit level 6. That's a really big benchmark. If you can get another wave into either one of these two supports, it's actually so meaningful for a fight like this. But it's not going to come through!
Paw Blossom catch! Fnatic is going to find himself dropping. APA
Gorgeous.
secures the kill, but Array is here firing away. The numbers advantage is in Net's favor. A shutdown for the G's. Azog just joining the fight, looking to see if they can spread apart some shots, and now Maryville are turning things around. The depth charge on the Azog keeps him dispersed away from the fight. APA secures the kill on the sword, and all of a sudden, Maryville comes out on top.
We love to see it. And again, it's a lot around the back of APA's Nico. It's that initial engagement, that snap kind of damage that comes out initially that really does a lot of the damage to 100 Thieves next. They have this follow through. They have a lot of people that show up to the fight and make it far closer than it probably should have been. But that initial play, that initial pick from Maryville bought them so much time to allow for Azog to show up to the fight and for him to be there on the backside. He was so close to being able to pick up another kill as well, which would have put him in a fantastic position inside of a game like this to be able to pick up a couple of kills for your Zeri. But it's a winning situation. Maryville are able to goad 100 Thieves into a fight that they take in the river. They had the priority to use this invisible Nico. They're right back to the Rift Herald. Ultimate's almost back up as well. Ultimate for Niles almost back up. They can do this one more time. They don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but the difference is depth charge not available for Sword. Shady has the solo flare, but here we go. Anchor is going to be able to connect. Can they burst him down before he'll be able to use the ultimate? No, he gets it off. He's going to only be able to tag Insanity, and the rest of the members disperse. Beautiful use of the pillar, but Fnatic is still a tribute to appease Maryville, and they go right back to Shelly.
It's another Pop Blossom that gets flashed once again from 100 Thieves next in this bottom side river. This time it is just the 1-for-1, but they're going to grab up the Rift Herald in exchange for Array getting a bit of alone time on the bottom side. Probably pulls 2 plates, so that's even for what the Rift Herald's going to get. So ultimately, I think Maryville, they're trading gold evenly here, back and forth between the two teams, and I think they're okay with it. Array is getting that gold, but the thing is, Niles and APA, 2 big AoE team fighters that they're going to be able to take into the mid game that were not able to kind of command things the way they wanted to in the previous game, is a much different storyline than what we had previously.
It feels like a different story. Maryville has found things in their advantage. They've been able to get things in their favor. The tempo has been there, but here we go. Traps laid out, but the Leona will face tank it all. Azog is able to dash away. You can see 100 Thieves Nets, they understand they need to try and pull the trigger whenever they see an opportune moment.
Right there trying to punish a little bit onto Azog, but again, his abilities on this champion have been really, really high, or his ability on this champion has been shown time and time again throughout this event, where it's definitely been, I think, the best champion that Maryville's had in the back pocket, and so, not surprising they're trying to capitalize, but again, that's not a forte that 100 Thieves has most of the time. Usually, Array and Sword are more comfortable playing that really high weak side where Sword is going about roaming, but Sword's, Sword actually has 5 kill participation. He's 100% kill participation for 100 Thieves, but he hasn't felt like the full impact of what normally Sword is able to accomplish. Even after last game, we saw so much more that Sword was able to get done over Shady, but this time Shady has been there in response pretty much every single time.
Shady looking hot here, as been on the field and has been making sure anybody will pay for it. You see Sword is roaming around a lot too, right? Like Sword is on the go, but check this out. We saw this much earlier inside of the last game, but it is the train of Maryville coming up to the top side to give their support to Niles, and Sniper immediately is just like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. You can't, and I think this is very respectful, because it would have been easy enough to try to stand under the tower and be like, okay, there's 2 here, 3 here, whatever he saw on that ward. But this is just going to be the take. I really I'm a little bit against the decision to split the gold between 3 members now, because the Rift Herald gets dropped, and then of course APA and Niles both split the remaining gold as well, so it's a 3-way split for the gold that comes through. Although if they get a second tower for it, now I'm a lot more in favor of being able to use this one, although it doesn't look like they're going to get the full effect from it. They're not going to get the full tower, but it is a nice gold influx into, again, your 2 solo laners. That last game, Niles especially not having a great one. The trade-off though, Array, man, he is unceasing on the bottom side.
I don't know if I'm a big fan of it just because of the storyline of Array in general. This is a person who stays a little bit quiet, flies under the radar, and all of a sudden he jumps in here. He's already in phase number 2. He is popping off inside the fight, and he is doing too much DPS to be able to deal with.
The team is going to be able to kind of sit in front of him as well. There's a lot of members that are melee, or there's a lot of members that like to dash into fights and do things.
Oh,
actually, mid lane we get some action.
They're looking at APA. APA has the Pop Blossom, but it's so hard to be able to catch out the Ahri. That's a shutdown in the favor of Array. Even more gold.
Not an ideal situation. I'm not sure what actually happened to cause that to come through. It looked like it was just a charm because APA was poking down towards the river where the control was held from 100 Thieves. And the rest of Maryville is kind of in the area as well. At least the wave is going to get covered, which is nice. Mouse is not going to let any sort of shenanigans happen with this mid tower where they're going to pull another player or even pull the full tower. But like you said, it's really easy to see how Array can do so much damage inside of fights like this. Shady finds out Fnatic, actually.
Finds him, but gets chomped as a response. The press the attack, the frozen domain, everything getting dropped onto him. Pillar has been used. They don't have vision of Odd Orange inside of the try. Could lead into a devastating scenario if they are not careful, but these nets playing respectful.
They are. And now it feels a lot more like there is quite a bit that Array is going to have to do in terms of heavy lifting for this team. But Insanity is actually off to a pretty solid foot. You've got a 30 CS lead at the mid lane. You've got the Ahri going with at least the Everfrost to kick things off. So the full combo is going to be in completion now. So the pick potential is there as well. You don't have that front line. It's double Sunderer, and that means that Sniper and Fnatic aren't super duper tanky yet.
Insanity catching out APA again, flashing forward with the Pop Blossom, knows his team is there, and a beautiful Solar Flare will be the support needed. APA finds the kill on Insanity. They turn the play on its head. Maryville coming out on top.
Massive props to APA for being able to turn that one on his own volition. Because he has the ultimate, he's able to flash right back on top of Insanity, who in the previous one had the Spirit Rush to get out of that situation. This time doesn't have it, or at least it burnt it far too early to be able to use. And so that meant that APA just gets the full combo with the Ignite and the Everfrost down. It's more than enough damage, and his reinforcements are there in time to help shift that fight in his favor. So now 4-kill Nico in another position, again, with Insanity, where, like, if you get hit by one of these 2Es, you're going down to the mage, because the damage is really starting to stack up. The big difference is you have a Zeri who's not scaling quite to the level that, the Jinx is quite yet, but is definitely on that path. And more importantly, Niles on the Gangplank is really starting to get powerful inside of this game as well, which is where Maryville kind of was lacking in the previous game. Previously, it was like their top side was winning, and their bottom side was winning, and their mid was doing okay, but now Maryville actually has tools to be able to combat what 100 Thieves can do.
It's these beautiful picks that are getting turned around by Insanity. Insanity is looking to play with this Fog of War. This is something I was talking about before. It's scary. You're in the Fog of War and all of a sudden a kiss gets blown across at you inside the river or something like that. It's a scary proposition, but 100 Thieves nets, we've seen what happens when it's Insanity who's starting to play and when it's Insanity starting to play with the rest of his team to support the play. So 2 examples in the span of 2 minutes. See if we might see it reproduced yet again. Shady looking for the engagement. Beautiful charm, but the Solar Flare onto Fnatic. Lots of damage being dished out. Shady's going to find himself taken off the field in the backline. Insanity looking to continue to Spirit Rush around, dancing throughout this action. A double kill on the Ahri, and look at Array just completely free hitting, tearing apart the HP over the wall. It is Maryville who are now on the retreat as Sniper is looking to cut off any hope they may have, but immediately flashing away. The damage is just too great for Maryville for Sniper to continue forward.
And this one, back and forth, I think it's initially they're going for, okay, what play can we actually make to force around the Rift Herald that actually is spawning in just a little bit of time. It was on the map, and they were looking for the play to be made. And they had members in position to take a full 5, but they couldn't quite get the pick onto Fnatic fast enough to really warrant what had happened at the beginning of that. And now, because of these, the fight that actually goes really heavily in the way of 100 Thieves, they're the ones that pull not only mid-tower, but they also get the Rift Herald in their back pocket to push for additional gold. They've already cracked 2 outer towers, so the top tower going down as well is going to mean that Maryville's going to get pushed back. And we talk about what pick potential is held from the Ahri. It's a lot better to have Fog of War much further up the map to be able to kind of take advantage of, and this is the best way to do it. When you push back these towers, you push back the ward line, and Maryville's more susceptible to what Insanity is going to be capable of doing.
I love this. Maryville immediately taking an aggressive action of their own. They are posted up here, and Sniper is none the wiser. Xenoflade will go forward, will find the Solar Flare. The sun is in his eyes. It burns, and Fnatic is not there in time, but Insanity using the Spirit Rush, trying to connect with some of the members with these charms, with these orbs. It is a scattered fight. Array is over here onto the side, but caught out of position. The Pop Blossom pops, and it will be a double kill, but it's Maryville just tearing them apart as they were able to dispatch with Array. It is only Insanity left standing.
And it's this really weird angle from 100 Thieves where they're looking to fight, but they don't get everyone there fast enough. One of the biggest things that 100 Thieves is always able to do is kind of move all their pieces in one fell swoop. That's what's allowed them. Insanity's going to go down too.
Insanity just walked right up into APA, and the rest of the team said, all right, cool. Bad decision there. Immediately punishing. This is going to be the second Drake of the game at almost 20 minutes here. It's an Ocean Drake for Maryville.
Game could take us into very, very long strides here. Get comfortable, Travis, because we're going to be here for a while, because we might even get into a Game 3 scenario, because Maryville looking good. They're up 3,000 gold over their counterparts right now. That fight was hugely influential to that, right? 100 Thieves have been so good in just about every single game about striking at one time and coming together in one fell swoop to make plays happen. That was the first example where Maryville cut off the reinforcement angle when they had a kind of like a numbers advantage in the initial engagement, and that let them pick apart the fight from 100 Thieves. It was really good, and no teams, again, have really been able to figure out the consistent sauce that have allowed them to do this. But even Ambition was able to find moments of this inside of the series that they were able to take a win in against 100 Thieves, and Maryville find it in very short supply, but they do get something off of 100 Thieves play.
Sure to capitalize on these scattered fights. Maryville looking hungry for a dub, gold lead in their favor, and they have been finding momentum for themselves, but it has been a game of tug of war. You said get comfortable for a ride. Man, this has been a roller coaster, and check this play out that's happening in the mid lane while they push for top. They're just dropping Herald in the mid lane.
They're comfortable just putting every ounce of resource into Array's Jinx. They need this Jinx to be the kind of linchpin to carry the later stage game, right? Insanity's got pick potential. Insanity can team fight as well, but it's not going to win you the game with this Ahri right now in the state that they're in. They desperately need the ability to win the front-to-back team fight. Niles makes that hard. APA makes that really hard. The only way you're doing it is if this Jinx is so powerful that she can get through these frontliners fast enough for the damage to never really stack up in front of her to push her out of a fight or even just kill her outright in the course of what engagement's going to come through. And so they will continue to do this over and over again. Anything they can give to Jinx, they need to be given to Jinx at this point. Now, I think their frontline needs a little bit of gold too, because again, you're talking about a Gangplank, you're talking about a Nico, the amount of damage those two can do on 2.5 items, it's incredible, and it's not going to get a lot lower as the game continues, but I do respect the fact that 100 Thieves recognize the only person that can win this game for them outright is definitely going to be Array if they have to take the 5-on-5.
And you talked about it earlier. We've seen examples of it. The front line, the area manipulation that they have with like the Trundle, the Camille, the Nautilus, it's exceptional from this 100 Thieves net squad. They can buy the space that is needed. The question is, will the Jinx be able to escape those barrels from Niles, right? Are they going to be able to escape the Pop Blossoms? Are they going to be able to escape this Zeri that's just coming in behind them and just saying, oh, cool, you're attacking my team. That's a mistake. I'm here to punish you for it. So it's, I keeping my eyes posted. Array definitely, the member 100 Thieves nets are building around. They're looking at them as the win condition. Mid inner tower is also very unhealthy, so one mistake from Maryville can easily lead into a swift punish.
Yeah, a lost team fight here for Maryville effectively means that Array is going to pull mid inhibitor if he's still alive, or whoever's alive is going to pull mid inhibitor, and that will drive them down at least a little bit. They do have good wave clear, thankfully, so a lost inhibitor actually probably doesn't do all that much damage because they've got a Gangplank, they've got a Nico who has a bunch of multi-target damage, and they've got a Zeri who's rocking the Runaans and probably will go to Titanic Hydra as well, just for some additional AoE damage output. So they're not that worried about what waves are going to be able to do inside of their base. They're far more concerned with what's happening outside and being able to take neutral objectives. Like we said, we could be here for a very long haul with the Dragons being only a few stacks at this point. The Baron buff is incredibly contested as well, and again, neither team really feels comfortable at this point but taking a full 5-on-5, because again, your front line for 100 Thieves is so weak, it's difficult to make sure that Jinx gets a really good engagement. But on the other side, you don't have much front line, so if a Jinx gets 2-3 rocket volleys, all of a sudden your team is going to get blown to smithereens. And so both these teams, I think, are more willing to play out, first off, finding a Baron timer that's going to work to force them into a situation you want, but more specifically around the dragons. And with the gold lead that's held by Maryville right now, they're actually the ones that are controlling the river on the bottom side.
I like how there's an opposite story here too, where in terms of the towers, 100 Thieves Nets have really only been able to grab the mid tower. They grabbed the bot tower, right? The bot outer, but both side lanes have found themselves completely demolished by the side of Maryville. They've been able to find such great success when operating in those side lanes, finding 4 turrets for themselves in total. It is a completely difference, and Maryville's struggling. They really want this tower to drop. It looks like they'll finally be able to secure this.
Without, I think, what is infringement from something that causes, a pick. Whether it's a pillar, whether it's a charm, whether it's an ultimate from Camille. Actually, wait. That is a... Okay, they're trying to find something. The pillar actually cuts things off, and that opens up top side of the map. I think it's 100 Thieves are anticipating that they're going to go for a dragon play, which is fair, because that's probably what Maryville is going to go for. And so they immediately shift up into top side, where Insanity's pushing on the top lane. Niles has TP to join them. I think they want to try to use this Baron bite as a way to get Maryville into an uncomfortable situation, to look for a fight of their own, use some of these pick tools I was just talking about. That is going to be Shady gotten off by a pillar, but unfortunately, it's just not enough. The dragon does fall to Maryville. And now, 100 Thieves, they do have gold from the top tower to show for it. They at least get something in the return, but the mid tower was lost, so equalizing gold as well for Maryville, while simultaneously grabbing that neutral objective.
Very good on Maryville's part, doing some nice little bit of baiting. You can see it at 100 Thieves Nets. Like you were talking about, the trap was set. They wanted to pull the trigger onto it, but Maryville was just kind of dipping their toes into it, not getting caught, not setting off any weight detection or anything like that. So 100 Thieves Nets trap doesn't get sprung in the way they would like to see it, and they're in this defensive position right now. They're not able to find the plays that they need, but you can see they're still scrolling around inside this map. It's only a 3K difference in terms of gold here, 25 minutes into the game.
The thing I love about this from 100 Thieves is just that, again, they're doing nothing to give themselves away in a game like this. It's so easy when you're kind of close in gold to be throwing for, like, you're pushing too far for an Ari Charm. You're pushing too far for, like, camp steals. You're pushing too far for a pillar to be able to generate a big game-shifting play. And 100 Thieves aren't playing that game, right? They're putting gold where it needs to be. They've got 263 CS on Array. That's all that's necessary. They're getting the right tabs for Insanity to make sure he's going to stay relevant. No. They're getting forced on, actually.
They're jumping on the Fnatic. The solo flare. Fnatic's going to get deleted. On Orange finds the kill, and it's just the side of 100 Thieves getting pushed out of their own jungle. Niles coming in to join them at the Baron pit. It is going to be Shady who has to reset, is dropped down into critical levels of HP, but now we have a tango around the Baron pit.
Kind of incredible to think they were able to push them out that quickly, especially when it looked like they had vision. Insanity? Okay. He's going to take quite a bit of a chunk. They have 3 members here, but they don't have Fnatic, so there's no smite. The back could come through from Shady. They are waiting for time, and now Leona's back in range to be able to kind of find an angle here, especially since Sword is so far back. You could look for a flank from Shady if you want to turn off for a fight. They're going to bait for the Baron. 100 Thieves know where Shady is as well, so it's kind of back and forth. They're going to find a hook as well.
They're doing a lot of damage on the Shady. They're just completely jumping on the Shady. They dogpile onto him. Now all of a sudden it's a 4v4 fight. Okay. Baron has been secured, but check this out. Sniper is going around onto the side, looking to cut off escapes, but quickly thinks about it. Is going to bide his time, looking for the angle charm, not going in. ABA goes in for a Pop Blossom, doesn't hit onto any members, and Fnatic comes in with the wraparound, the shutdown for Array, and Array is completely popping off in this fight. Azog's trying to see if he can finish him off. Will be able to do just that. Beautiful work from Azog as he's completely turning this fight on its head. Azog finds 3 kills for himself inside the fight, and it's just Niles and Fnatic tangoing it out to see who will be left to survive. It is an ace for Maryville.
It is a numbers check coming through from 100 Thieves, because what happens, they're down a member, right? They're walking in, Fnatic is respawned, he's coming up to the Baron buff, but they're not going to be able to make this work. So they say, let's go on to Shady, let's play for the fight afterwards. That's what we're going to do here. And Maryville, like, they have to make the call swiftly. They have to say, let's force the Baron. I was worried this was going to get contested, but again, with no jungler here anytime soon, they had no chance of stealing this, and they just waltz out. Sniper is very patient with the engagement here, waiting for over the wall, waiting for everyone to show up, just now getting time for the their jungler to come back. And they pinch themselves in the small space where Nico gets some damage off. More importantly, the Nile barrels, as well as the damage coming from Azog, is onto multiple targets at a time. And right there, we have a bit of a split. Fnatic and Sword on the right side of the fight, and the damage on the left side, not able to come to one cohesive turn. That's my favorite part right there. The Pog slide from Azog actually getting him away from Sniper and letting the Zeri continue to go wild in a fight like this. The whole time, Azog's in the back, performing admirably. You can see the damage numbers are there for both ADCs. You see what happens when we wait 25 minutes and start to see what 5-on-5s look like. But here, it's Maryville that find themselves the fight win, the Baron. They've got everything in their back pocket.
He's doing so well inside this game, and now with Baron, they're looking to push. Niles takes the charm, has to eat an orange, everything is K. Will be dispersing back into the opposing jungle. A Sniper is just splitting while all this action is happening.
They're not able to push up too far, and with 4 members here and no wave, it's actually, I think, a solid call. And it forces Niles back, who has the ultimate and the teleport, so there's global pressure. But I think that Sniper's got enough damage to be able to pull that tower, maybe. Wow.
They are going to get him. One more pop. There it is. The auto to finish it off. That is Ari getting solo killed in the bot lane. Everybody was looking on now. Under these nets are defending.
It's funny. I'll come back to the thought that I have about that specific interaction in a little bit, because right now Maryville, with Baron buff minions, are looking to infringe into the base. They've got damage for this. They've got damage for days, and with Insanity gone, the only member to carry a fight like this is Array. It does look like they're going to walk out. They're probably going to go back to Dragon. It's a lot safer of an option than looking to end a game right here. I was gonna actually pose you the question a little bit ago, but we were talking about pick tools, whether or not you'd rather get smooched or run with a Tangle Barb, because those are the options for our mid laners here. And I can tell
sounds
you,
very much more painful.
Tangle Barb sounds more painful. I think in reality, it also ended up more painful for Insanity. Perhaps our results-based analysis can conclude that APA is not the person you want to mess with when the Tangle Barbs are on the option. That was some trolling from Array. Well done stopping that.
Sometimes it's about sending the message, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Array's almost at 100% correct. He's like, yo, I'm about to be there. Hold up, everybody.
I suppose what it did do is it actually forced Niles from backing. Yeah, I thought for a second there, like, okay, what is going to happen to, like, what timer is this going to actually lead to for Array? Because it forces Niles to stay a little bit longer, but doesn't end up mattering. You can see the damage charts. Insanity's up there. Insanity's got some damage. The Rabadon's is going to be done soon, too. That means, again, the pick potential really starting to get up there for this Ari pick, especially when you're looking at a team that's pretty squishy across the board and have gone for very glass cannon type builds. This is a Rabadon's Lichbane for the Nico. This is no Maw of Malmortius for Niles here. A little bit of poking in. MU just looking to, I think, take away the blue buff. As much resource from 100 Thieves as they can. I think they are going to get it. They do. Odd Orange smites it away just to make sure. But again, the presence is going to be felt from Insanity if he's able to land a charm onto somebody.
It's a 31-minute game here. We are absolutely going to get to Dragon Soul at this rate. It's only 3.5 minutes away. And Baron in a minute and a half. We saw what happened last time the Baron was on the table. And immediately, there could be some dancing happening yet again. Check out what Maryville has just been doing. They have been posting up. They have a new home. And it's called the Topside Jungle of 100 Thieves Nets. It completely belongs to them.
Yeah, I think ideally you want to get really good control of mid lane, just because, again, it allows them access to both the Baron buff, which is spawning in a minute, and also the Dragon in 3 minutes. I don't think they're ever able to pull Baron again, unless they find a really good lapse of vision like they did last time to find a pick against Fnatic. But being up about 6,000 gold, 7,500, or 7,000 gold, 6,500, I think is what it is totally, it means that Maryville is afforded the luxury of 100 Thieves not being able to make an aggressive move against the Baron unless there is a massive opening that is left. If Maryville sends all 5 to Dragon and they're like, yeah, that'll work, like, they're going to trade Baron, right? Like, that's going to happen. But in this situation, 100 Thieves can't be the ones making an initial movement in the river and testing whether Maryville wants to take a fight, because they've got the damage to take a fight. They've got the gold to take this fight. That's not a place you want to be if you're 100 next. And so they have to be the ones playing a bit more responsive. It's a very rare situation. Sniper
caught out of position, is going to get his HP demolished. And we see the artillery coming in. Sniper having to walk away. Is going to survive, but check it out. There are super minions crashing into the base. They delayed Sniper for so long on the play. Does have the TP available. Insanity might be looking for something, but the wave getting cleared up by 100 Thieves Nets. This is going to be the Baron call. There's pings coming in.
There's a teleport available as well for Sniper, so he's going to be able to re-enter. They see only 2 members on this Baron, and the rest of them, they have to know are somewhere in the area. They try a bush bait. It's not going to work.
Oh shit, he gets just onto him. The charm connects onto him. He's laying in a good amount of damage. Ray finds the kill to start himself off. He has gotten excited. He is saying, come on, shoot faster. Laying in some damage onto the side of Maryville. Goes Golden Pop Blossom into the backline. Sniper dodges it expertly. Ray is getting decimated now. Azog goes in, but he does find himself dropped. Both bot laners have been taken off the field, but Niles remains tall, dropping the barrels, laying into DPS, and it is 100 Thieves net making their track back to the base. There's super minions knocking, and they gotta answer the door.
Yeah, there are. And that's going to force them out of a really bad situation. Now, Maryville, I'm a little surprised they're going for a Baron buff, especially with the teleport available. It's going to take some time. They've got some damage. Ari's going to poke away at this, which means Insanity could pull this off. If you go for a full back timer instead, or you push out mid-wave and then go into Dragon Pit and set up around that area, especially with your visual vision, I think you're good. They're going to be contested by Insanity. They're going to get the Baron almost certainly, though.
Takes a good amount of damage. The Spirit Rush coming through is secured. Insanity seeing if he can pick up a kill, kill the Baron buff off someone, but doesn't find it. Niles now looking to find it. Has the flash available.
They did. For a moment there, we see Fnatic staring down the literal barrel, but also the barrel of a 45 with Niles sitting in the back of the pit, and he says, hey, come on, it's a trapdoor spider at the back of the pit waiting to clamp on him, and he's just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm leaving. Insanity did his best to stall this. I was a little worried that if Insanity pulls a kill against Orange and they can't full confirm Baron, that they would have lost Dragon, and that would have stalled this game longer, given more time for 100 Thieves next to get some of the players that they need back into a position to make an effect in this game. But Maryville do win out the situation. They win out the Baron buff, they bring down Insanity, they get a redeploy into bottom side, they're going to grab the Mountain Soul, and this is so much power now. This Mountain Drake makes up for the lack of tank stats in a number of situations. Great attempt on the ultimate from Array, but just barely not able to secure it as he was back. Literally, if Orange had pressed Smite, it would have executed it almost certainly, but not going to be the case. As now Maryville, they're taking it. This is going to be the second loss that 100 Thieves are looking at right now in the entirety of the qualifiers for Proving Grounds, and it's delivered in the quarterfinals of the second one. The fight potentially kind of waits, but they're just going to push for an inhibitor. I'm waiting for the inevitable conclusion of a game like this, because if 100 Thieves pulls out a victory here, it's going to be a great one.
Charm connecting on the auto orange, but like you said, this is Maryville's game to close out on. Nice hook onto Niles, forcing the flash, but it is auto orange going forward. Niles unstoppable, and you can see Array trying to pick apart the pieces, trying to see if he can pick the bones. But it is going to be just as you said. The streak comes to an end, 20-1, as it is 100 Thieves Nets dropping game number 2 to Maryville. Rebel, we got a series.
You don't say that with 100 Thieves either. This has happened one other time in 7 qualifiers. As this is, I wanted to make this statement the entirety of the time that we've been on broadcast, and I never found a moment to. If there was a team that had a chance, especially a secondary team that came second out of their group, that had a chance against 100 Thieves, this is the last team they wanted to play. Maryville's one of the few teams that could have taken a game or even a series off of 100 Thieves, and they showed why right there. They were so precise with what they wanted to do around the map. They had individual plays at the beginning that did make a very big difference, but they played out situations that they needed to incredibly well, and 100 Thieves, they struggled to find a really, really good comeback angle, and those angles were saw. Maryville knew what was coming at them, and they were able to play around a lot of the recovery things that 100 Thieves were going for, and it leads us into a game 3 that is so ridiculously exciting, because now you have to think, okay, side swap, what champions are going to get banned, because Niles is not getting the Gangplank again, not after that performance and things like that. Things just get all the more exciting as we get to walk into game number 3 here.
I'm so ready. We've got the new kings of amateur right now with 100 Thieves Nets taking on a juggernaut from Collegiate in Maryville. It is 1-1 on the score. We're going to take ourselves a short break. When we come back, our desk is going to get us prepared for what is sure to be an epic game number 3. So make sure you don't touch that browse.